All right, guys, let's begin. We did this yesterday, so this is kind of like unnecessary review, but just so we can get the worksheet done, I'll do the odd one still here. Where do I start at? -2. That's my y-intercept, and where do I go from there?
Up, down 7.
Down 7.
Across, right 3.
Right 3. So from here down 7. So that's gonna put me at 1, 2, 3, 4. I got to go off my chart a little bit. 5, 6, 7. I can cheat. And then across 3. Something like that. We good? All right, that's for you. Let's talk about this one here. So when there's just one letter, like x equals 5, you might want to write this little note on the side. Lines that look like this, like x equals some number, okay, those are vertical lines. And lines that look like this are horizontal lines. Okay, so in this case, I've got x equals, so it's a vertical line, and we're going to go through 5. So I'm going to go over to 5 on the x-axis, right? And it's going to be a vertical line going through 5 like that.
Oh, that's all?
Yeah, that's it. It just means that x is 5. So everywhere on this line, x equals 5. Notice that y can be anything because y doesn't matter in this equation, but x is always 5.
Oh, wait. So why don't we do it?
Mm-hmm. Which is weird. That's confusing to people because that's the y-axis, right? So actually the y-axis is what we named this line here. It's named the y-axis, but the equation for that line is actually x equals 0. So x equals equations are vertical, y equals equations are horizontal, which is, I understand your confusion.
It's not
That's
as
okay.
confusing, but like it can be confusing.
Yeah. So have that little note to remind you there. All right, and so I'm going to leave you guys with number 4. But let's check out number 5. Now, number 5 and 6, they're not in slope-intercept form, okay? So we want to change it to slope-intercept form. If you guys don't know what that means is we want it to look like this. Y equals mx plus b. We don't want a number equals something times y plus something times x. So how do you do that? You're going to basically, we'll see, I'm not too sure what you said, but just a sec. How do you do it? You basically get y by itself. Okay, so I want to get the y by itself.
Aren't you going to plug something in for x in order to get y by itself?
No, that is not how I'm going to go about it. So I want to get y all by itself. You don't need to box that, but I'm just highlighting it. So I don't want anything over here with the y. The equal sign is the separator. So I've got the right side over here, and I've got the left side. I want the y all by itself on the right. So I need to get rid of what? I need to get rid of the 3x. And what else do I need to get rid of? The 5. How do I get rid? So now, how do we get rid of the 3x?
You're going to subtract 3x, but you have to put both sides.
That's right. So we're going to subtract the 3x, and then how am I going to get rid of the 5?
We're going to add 5.
Divide it. Because the reason why we're dividing is 5 times y. So the opposite of times is
divide.
All right, so here we go. We're going to minus the 3x. Now, can I combine this 3x with that negative 5?
No.
No, they're not like terms. So instead of combining them, I'm just going to put them next to each other. Okay? Oh, that's not. Is that a negative 5?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, and now we divide both sides by negative 5. And when you do that division, you do all three numbers. So in this case, they just go away, right? Now, in this case, you could say they go away, but it's not 0. What is it?
Negative 5. Wait,
Wait, what?
It's 1. Because we're dividing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Negative 5 divided by negative 5 is 1, right? Anytime you divide a number by itself, it equals 1. Now, over here, we cross it off because it makes 1, but that's just 1y, which is just y. But in this case, I don't want you guys to think, oh, it's gone. It's 0. It's not.
So it's a 1.
It's 1. And then here, now, this doesn't cross off, but what does go away is the negatives, because when you divide a negative by a negative, you get a positive. And so there's that. So when you don't have it in slope-intercept form, you need to get the y by itself. And now we can graph it. So now that it looks like this, I got the y by itself. What is the y-intercept? It's 1. Then what's the slope?
3 over 5.
There you go. Oh, I didn't go far enough. Up 3 over 5. There you go. So all that was different on this problem is I had to get the y by itself first. And to do that, I minus the 3x, and then I divided by negative 5. Good. And it's not always minus, okay? It depends on the signs. Like if this was a minus 3x, then I would have added the 3x. The point is you do the opposite. Would you be able to wait for Nathaniel to return? All right. And that's where I'm going to stop for now, and I'm going to let you guys do 2, 4, and 6. So go ahead and do 2, 4, and 6 for a little bit. Okay. So I want you guys to find number 7 here. Number 7 and number 7, 8, 9, 10. 7 through 10 are all they're the same. 7 and 8 don't look like 9 and 10, but they are. They're both asking you to do the same thing. They're both asking you to find the equation of the line. So if you want to find the equation of a line, you need to do a couple things. You need to find your slope. You need to find your y-intercept. And then you can write your equation out.
Wait,
Okay?
is that the one where you have to do the minus?
Yeah, I think you're thinking the right thing. I'll write it right now, actually. So,
Oh no, that's not what I was thinking.
well, this is the one. All right. Okay, guys, there's a couple side conversations going on out there. Maybe just quiet down. Eyes up here.
Wait,
Henry.
why do you have 2? Why do you
John.
have, wait, you need to rewrite that.
Just a second. You ready? Okay, so we're doing slope. So now one thing you got to be able to do this. Some people have a hard time doing this, turning the points into numbers. You got to make sure you get the numbers correct and in the right spot. So x comes first. So the x value here is negative 4. Y comes second. And in this case, it's on the line, so it's 0. Over here, x comes first. It's on the y-axis, so my x value is 0. My y value is negative 4. So after you've given coordinates to those points, and it doesn't matter what 2 points you pick, by the way. You can pick any 2 points you want. I just picked those 2. We're going to call one of them x1, y1. We're going to call the other pair x2, y2. And that way we can use our slope formula over there. So I'm calling negative 4 x1. I'm calling 0 y1. I'm calling this 0 x2. And this negative 4 y2. So what is y2 according to my chart up here?
Negative 4.
Negative 4 minus, what's y? Oh,
0.
this is supposed to be a 1, you guys.
That's what I was trying to tell you.
Thank you, Hannah. So what is y1? 0, thank you. And what is x2?
0.
Minus x1.
X1 is 4.
X1 is negative 4. So check it out. Pay attention to this. minus, right? -4. So you got a double negative situation
That's
there.
Okay, my hat.
Oh, is that what he said? Okay.
Oh, you bitch.
He's gonna be like, you're
Okay.
No, you said some other time.
Okay. So
You said some other time, right? Are you recording?
okay. What does the B represent, you guys? The y-intercept. Now, here's the thing. There's two ways you can find your y-intercept. One's the hard way, one's the easy way. Let's do the easy way on this one. When you have a graph, it's really easy. Just look. What's the y-intercept? -4. All right, so that's nice. Now the next one I do won't be that easy, okay? But this one is, so let's use it. So here we go. We're ready. Y equals mx plus b. So what's my m? It was this guy, right? And what's my b? Now they probably won't write it like this on the thing. They'll probably have it written like this, just so you know.
That's it.
So you need to find your slope, your y-intercept, and then you can write your equation. Yeah.
You don't have to put on the mic.
And so instead of using this, right?
Yeah.
Are you just rising and running? That's fine. I don't like to teach two ways because it's overwhelming to people, but yes, you can do that. But you have to be careful with that method if you're going to use it. Make sure you know that when it slants this way, you have a negative slope, right? Because if you're just counting spaces, sometimes people forget to make the right sign when they need to.
Wait, where'd you get -4?
Where did I get -4?
Yes.
I drew an arrow from it, see? It's my y-intercept. Okay, now that's one type of problem, okay? You guys are going to do one like that as well. It's right here. But before I do that, I want to give you this one. Now, in this case, we don't have a graph, okay? We just have numbers that we're working with. In that case, finding the y-intercept's a little bit trickier, okay? Matter of fact, I don't even really like this question. Is there no?
You just can.
Oh, well, we'll go with it. Okay, here we go. So, what's my m? -2. It's the slope, right? Now, in this case, the next one we want to find our b. We want to find the y-intercept. Now, in this case, I don't know what my b is. I don't have a graph to just look at. So here's how we have to do it in this case. Write this equation out first. What we're going to do is we're going to plug in a number for y, we're going to plug in a number for m, and we're going to plug in a number for x so we can solve for b. That's how we're going to get b this time. Okay? So, what is my, we already know this is m. What's my y value? What's my x value? There we go. So I'm going to plug those numbers in for x and y, and that number in for m, and we'll be ready to go.
Oh.
Okay?
Yeah.
-2 times -5 is a +10. Subtraction gives me -5. So now I've got my m, I've got my b, I'm ready to write the equation. Ready? Y equals mx plus b. What's my m?
-2.
And what's my b? They probably won't write it like that. They'll probably write it like that.
-2x -5.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I put plus a -5. That's the same thing as -5. So that's why I'm saying they probably won't leave it like this.
-2?
They'll probably do that. Yeah, it's a little smudge there. Okay, so you guys, I'll give you a few seconds to work on, what is that? 8 and 10 now. 8 and 10. Actually, you know what? in the interest of time, would you guys rather I just do the last two odd ones? Because
Yeah.
otherwise you're not going to see me do them. So sorry we don't get a chance to practice that right now. Let's go ahead and do two more of our last odd ones. They're number 11. Now, I think you guys probably know how to do this already, but it's good to review. So what's the first thing we do?
You're gonna
Distribute. That's the first step. I'm going to put distribute. So that's going to be negative 167 equals negative 3. And that's going to be 4 minus 28x. Okay, now what? Combine like terms. In this case, these are my like terms, right? So 4 and negative 3 makes 1. Now what? Good. So that, and we call that solving, right? So minus 1 on both sides. And that's negative 168. And that's a really big number. So I don't know what that is off the top of my head. It's probably not a fraction, though. Usually my software doesn't make fraction answers. It's just 6? Sweet. So that's, we call that solving, right? When you get to that point, you just get the x by itself. So distribute is first, combine your like terms, solve. The next one I'm going to give you is going to have another step in the middle there somewhere, but that's the basic idea.
the next one, well, 13. Can I say this is what
I want to do it, but thank you. Is anybody else still writing this?
No.
All right. Last problem. Okay. Oh, that's yours. Okay. There we go. All right. So same first step, right? Distribute is first. Now this time you got to be careful though. We're distributing what? Negative 4. I know that's a minus 4, but that minus goes with it. So negative 4 times negative 4 becomes positive 16. Negative 4 times n is going to be negative 4n. And I think we'll go ahead and combine like terms again. These guys can be combined, right? That makes 22. Now here's where a new step is going to come in that we didn't have in the last one. So I'll wait a second. So I don't know if you guys can see what's different on this one, but it's the fact that there's an n on both sides. So what we do then is we want to move the one that's smaller. So what is smaller, negative 4n or negative 1n? Believe it or not, negative 4 is, right? So what I want to do is I'm going to move this. Now you could move the negative 1. It's fine, by the way. I just suggest moving the one that's smaller. So in this case, I'm going to add it so that it cancels out over here. So you want to cancel out the smallest one.
Would you get the same answer?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
After that, so I'm going to call that move the smaller x. Or I guess in this case, I'll just say variable. After that, guys, you just solve like normal. What is that? 8 and 7 is negative 15. There we go.
Okay, for minus